term anaconda reflected the general strategy recommended to President Abraham Lincoln on how to end the Civil War as painlessly as possible. Think about how an anaconda captures and contains its prey. The reptile slowly wraps its body around the prey, while constricting to a point that eventually causes it to surrender. At the beginning of the war, the Union believed in a similar form of warfare. This strategy came to be known as the Anaconda Plan. The Anaconda Plan, or the boa constrictor strategy, was the brainchild of General-in-Chief Winfield Scott. Developed at the onset of the war, April 1861, the strategy recommended that Union troops surround the states in rebellion and effectively suppress the insurrection. Troops were to be stationed at southern ports and harbors, as well as positioned along the Mississippi River from Illinois to the Gulf of Mexico. Gunboats were also to be used to blockade southern sea routes. The ultimate goal was to diplomatically force rebellious Southerners to withdraw from the war and return to normalcy. It is important for you to know that General-in-Chief Winfield Scott had roots in Virginia and did not necessarily want to unleash a strategy that required the complete destruction and unconditional surrender of the South. However, at the time, his notion was generally supported by the Union. Northern leaders did not expect the war to stretch out 5 years and therefore called for a policy of limited warfare. The goal was not to destroy the South, but simply force a return to loyalty. Scott's Anaconda Plan was aimed to suffocate the rebellion without causing a tremendous amount of bloodshed and loss. The strategy would take time, but to many it was better than engaging in total war. While Northern leaders believed they had an acceptable plan of action, public opinion strongly differed. Unionists wanted to engage in total warfare with those states in rebellion. Many Northerners believed that the rebel army needed to be annihilated rather than suffocated via armed diplomacy. The clamor for battle eventually proved to be a necessity in order to defeat the rebellion. To address the growing call, President Lincoln attempted a swift and limited victory at Manassas instead of immediately adopting the Anaconda Plan. Unfortunately, the Union was defeated and retreated quickly to Washington. Lincoln realized that the states in rebellion were not going to be defeated diplomatically, as there was too much anti-Union sentiment. While aspects of Scott's Anaconda Plan were eventually adopted, such as the blockading ports, 1861, and a campaign along the Mississippi River, 1862, the Union moved toward a more aggressive strategy against the rebellion. President Lincoln decided against implementing the entirety of the Anaconda Plan in the spring of 1861. Eventually, however, the plan was adopted in a more aggressive form. During 1864, Union General Ulysses S. Grant's operations, spanning Virginia to Tennessee, combined with Union Major General William T. Sherman's march to the sea, closely resembled the suffocating strategy devised by Winfield Scott 3 years prior. The difference was that Grant's Anaconda Plan was more vicious and left a path of destruction that forced the rebels to surrender.